He blizzard roared like a living beast, swallowing Eliza's cries as Harlan shoved her from the creaking wagon, his face twisted with greed. "You're slowing me down," he spat, eyes gleaming with gold fever, the promise of riches in Colorado's mines outweighing their vows. Her boots sank into the knee-deep snow, shock numbing her more than the 1872 Wyoming cold. Married 3 years, they'd crossed plains together, dreamed of a homestead under wide skies. Now, abandoned in Comanche territory, her screams faded into the gale, unanswered. Curiosity clawed through her panic. What debt or lie had turned his whispered love into this cruel betrayal? She clutched her tattered shawl, the wind slicing like 1,000 knives, her mind replaying Harlan's warm promises under Missouri stars, empty words now. Eliza stumbled forward, each step a battle against the storm, her thin dress no shield against the frost. Her fingers, already numb, brushed her empty belly, where a child had died on the trail months ago, another loss Harlan blamed her for. Wolves howled nearby, their calls sharpening her fear. Death circled closer. Twist, tracks appeared in the snow, not hers, but larger, deliberate moccasin prints weaving through the drifts. Was she watched? Hunted? She crouched beneath a skeletal pine, breath fogging, heart hammering. A shadow moved through the whiteout, not a settler, not Harlan returning with regret, but a warrior, broad-shouldered, emerging like a spirit. Quahu, a Comanche chief, stood tall, his buffalo robe dusted with snow, scars mapping his face like trails of past wars. His eyes, dark as obsidian, locked onto hers, assessing, not threatening. He tossed a thick fur from his saddle, gesturing for her to wrap it around herself. Savior or captor? The question burned as she clutched the warmth, her body trembling. Eliza hesitated, the cold biting bone deep, her toes already numb. Quahu pointed to his horse, a sturdy paint with breath steaming in the air. Stay and freeze, or trust this stranger whose people were demonized in settler tales. She took his outstretched hand, pulled up behind him, her arms circling his waist for balance, the heat of his leather-clad body a stark contrast to the storm. They rode into the blinding snow, silence heavy between them. Twist, gunfire cracked faintly through the wind, Harlan's voice calling her name? Regret, or a trick of the storm? The sound faded, and Quahu veered south, off the wagon trails, deeper into unknown lands. Suspense coiled tight. Comanche were raiders, feared for scalping and vanishing into the plains. Was this mercy a prelude to captivity or worse? Night cloaked the world as Quahu led them to a shallow cave, shielded by jutting rocks. With flint and tinder, he sparked a fire, flames casting shadows on his stern features, high cheekbones, braids adorned with bone beads, scars telling of battle survived. He offered pemmican, a strip of dried meat laced with berries, tough but sustaining. Eliza chewed warily, the unfamiliar spices sharp on her tongue. "Why help me?" she whispered, voice hoarse. Quahu met her gaze, signing with calloused hands, peace, protection. No English, no promises beyond the gesture. Small suspense nod, shadows shifted outside the cave. Was it the wind, or were his warriors watching, judging her presence? She lay on the furs he provided, Harlan's betrayal replaying, his last glance not sorrowful but relieved, as if shedding her was freedom. Sleep eluded her, the fire's crackle mingling with distant howls. Morning light pierced the clouds, pale and unforgiving. Quahu packed swiftly, his movements efficient, gesturing for Eliza to follow. Her feet, blistered and raw, ached with each step, but she limped after him, pride refusing to falter. They mounted again, riding through a landscape of stark beauty, snow-dusted plains giving way to rugged canyons, eagles soaring overhead. Twist, a scout thundered up on horseback, speaking rapid Numa, the Comanche tongue, his eyes narrowing at Eliza with suspicion. Quahu argued, voice sharp and commanding, sending the scout off with a reluctant nod, but the man's glare lingered. Dissent in the band? Her presence was a spark in dry grass. As they descended into a hidden valley, a village emerged, teepees clustered around a central fire, smoke curling like welcoming spirits. Women paused their chores, warriors gripped lances, children hid behind skirts. Elders approached, faces weathered like the land itself. Kwahu dismounted, helping Eliza down, and spoke eloquently, presenting her as if she were a gift, not a burden. Matoya, an old woman with gnarled hands, stepped forward, touching Eliza's cheek and murmuring words that sounded like a blessing, or a judgment. Eliza, renamed Sitsi, Little Bird, for her fragile arrival, settled into Matoya's teepee, given a corner with furs and a bowl of bison stew. No chains, just watchful eyes. Days blurred into a routine of survival, learning to tan hides with a bone scraper, grind acorns into meal, her hands clumsy but determined. Matoya's patience was a quiet anchor, teaching her Numo words, puhiwi for water, taa for thank you. Kwahu visited evenings, demonstrating how to fletch arrows, his touch brief but steady, guiding her fingers on the sinew. Twist, a raid party returned at dawn, whooping with victory, dragging sacks of spoils, blankets, knives, and a locket eerily like the one Harlan gave her on their wedding day. Was he dead? Alive? Her heart twisted with guilt and rage. Suspense thickened, whispers spread through the camp, some calling her ghost woman, an omen of doom. At night, drums beat low, the shamans chant speaking of rivers running red. Would the band turn on her, fearing her presence cursed them? Spring softened the land, grasses budding green. Sitsi joined women gathering wild onions, her laughter tentative as children mimicked her awkward Numo pronunciations. Kwahu shared stories by the fire, Comanche horse lords driven from Texas, his wife and child lost to smallpox brought by white traders. Their griefs mirrored, her miscarriage, his losses, binding them in unspoken understanding. Twist, scouts brought news of Harlan in a boomtown, remarried, offering a reward for her return. Alive and betraying still? She dreamed of confronting him, waking to Kwahu's vigilant gaze, his presence a question, would she stay or seek her past? Small suspense, a vision quest called Kwahu to fast on a hill, he returned with eagle feathers, declaring her part of his path, a protector, not a prize. But Tarak, a young warrior, glared, jealousy sparking in his eyes. Was he plotting against her? Summer hunts brought exhilaration, Sitsi riding with the women, her arrow felling a rabbit. Kwahu's nod of approval warmed her more than the sun. Turn, a trader visited, recognizing her from Missouri, whispering of a bounty for her return. Temptation flickered, her old life. Kwahu burned the trader's note, his eyes searching hers for loyalty. Suspense, Tarak's hostility grew, his whispers poisoning younger warriors. A raid on a cattle drive returned with Kwahu grazed by a bullet. Sitsi tended him, applying Matoya's salves, their hands lingering. Among the spoils, Harlan's journal surfaced, entries of regret, searches for her. Truth, or another manipulation? Autumn harvests filled the camp with bounty, Sitsi leading berry-picking parties, her knowledge saving a sick child with herbal poultices. Respect grew, but Tarak confronted her by the river, knife drawn, accusing her of bewitching Kwahu. She disarmed him, strength surprising them both. Kwahu exiled him temporarily, but suspense lingered. Was Tarak's anger a spark for greater betrayal? Winter dances lit the nights, Sitsi joining, eagle feathers woven into her hair. Kwahu's hand brushed hers, their bond deepening without words. Twist, a blizzard trapped them on a scouting mission, forcing shelter in a cave. Confessions flowed, his fear of loving again after loss, her reclaiming worth beyond Harlan's shadow. No vows, just understanding. Spring bloomed, Sitsi a full healer, blending white remedies with Comanche herbs. Children called her auntie, her stories of stars and survival legend. News of Harlan leading a posse against natives, seeking her for reward or vengeance. Battle erupted at dawn, Sitsi loosing arrows, saving Kwahu from a sniper's shot. Harlan appeared in the chaos, rifle raised, begging her return. Her arrow wounded his shoulder, he fled, cursing. Enemy forever? Years passed, Sitsi integral, Kwahu her quiet companion. Turn, a federal agent offered amnesty, mentioning Harlan's death and an inheritance, land back east. She burned the deed, choosing the plains. Suspense, Tarak returned, repentant but suspect. Final twist, he confessed, Harlan's half-brother, born of a Comanche mother, he'd orchestrated her abandonment to ruin Harlan's claim, then killed him. Exiled, his gold found buried nearby funded resistance. Betrayal's curse became Sitsi's strength, her legacy soaring in Comanche winds.